Hey guys, this is Salty Will, and today we're going to talk about Homa, specifically her birds and how to get as much attack as possible out of it, and some unique maneuvers you can do with the birds in battle as well too. It's a little confusing to understand them, so I experimented quite a bit with them, and here's my understanding as of now. If anything is wrong, please let me know. But let's go ahead and look at it. So in order to test this out, I was very curious about attack and crit buffs itself. So this one was passive. If you're adjacent to an enemy, I was curious. Okay, you get extra attack, but does that stay just on your turn forever on that? The answer is yes, forever. So by forever, that means it affects all of your birds' attacks, right? But also increases your crit by 30%. Now the game doesn't actually show you a crit, but your birds can crit. So my assumption right now is that if you're next to an enemy, all of your bird attacks will crit as well. Now for this, I did hovering support for pretty much all the attacks. For tacit choice for the burial attack and for the carnival itself. So I did a pump up on her just to get the extra attack, get the bigger numbers just for comparisons. And I was at level 3 Homa, but after this guide, I decided to get her to level 5 because I liked her so much. And then these numbers would be much bigger if I were to refilm everything. But I'm not going to right now because it takes a while to do this. So let's go ahead and look at her stats. So this is really, really important. So her gear is not optimal, but I'll explain why in a second. But her pre-battle stats before I clicked enter in battle was 3202. At the start of the battle, this includes Miguel's buff and Gloria's buff to get her attack up. So this is her attack right at the start of the battle. And then I also did the hovering support. So I'd walk up to one tile, away from the enemy, did hovering support. And this has the sword and wand buff for her attack, also including the buff from hovering support. So she got 5347. And when I walked all the way up to the enemy right here, uh, well, she's almost dying right there. But the example of when I walked up to the enemy, she had 5827. Doesn't matter her life, because that's affect damage. Affects damage, but not the attack. So 5827 is what she'd be at. Touch this one because I had that reaction, the rampage archer, not reaction, passive. So here's an example of attack. So all the ways up top is going to be when I'm next to the enemy. All the way at the bottom is going to be away. So let's just look right there, 3699, 3208. Already a little big difference right there. I'm not going to really focus on her basic attacks too much. I'm going to be focusing on the burial attack and carnival. So let's go ahead and look at burial attack right here, 3491. Again, she has hovering support on as well. And I got 3109. So these are just two direct comparisons. Bird attack does not compare, but you got to keep in mind is burial attack is a single target attack, so the bird will attack with it. It does not attack with the carnival because carnival is AoE. So keep that in mind too. So she's attacking this shield guy way back here, but the bird is on her by default. So the AoE damage is based off of her. So she attacks this dude right here. So you got 2828, and you got 2476 for that guy running for her. So as you see, when she stands next to someone, she does much more damage. It affects her active attack and affects all the bird skills and attacks as well too, because the attack buffs everything up. So Carnival, just try to translate this image as much as possible. But up top, she's next to an enemy. Bottom, below. The numbers are typically bigger up here. She's not attacking all the same enemies. The one that looked like the most comparable is 2584 and 2241. And then this one has all crits afterwards too. So it's a little chaotic. So here is some tactical things you can do with Homa. So you could put a bird on an ally, and the ally can move across the screen over here. And if you cast Carnival on yourself, you do the AoE on yourself. This one I'm just next to the enemy. I can do both because of the range. And then you have all the way down here where none of the attack triggers right there. And the numbers will be based off you next to the enemy, so that's pretty cool. So technically you could cast the hovering support on a tank or some enemy that you want to be close to melee range. Get them in the middle of the battle, keep Homa kind of safe, keep her next to a weaker enemy or an enemy that you're about to finish off, and then you'll get the attack buff and extra damage to send to the enemy. There. Or even if you're not next to the enemy, you could send somebody way off the middle, and they could do the extra attack damage as well. Another thing you can do is you can cast hovering support on an ally. They could be next to one group of enemies, and then you can cast the carnival on someone else. So I have it the hovering support on Nunawil right here. You can't see because it's all the chaos going on. And then I cast the carnival on Hasna right there. So you got a AOE right here from Nunawil. You got an AOE right here for Hasna. So pretty cool stuff. I'm gonna go back right here. Is the reason why the melee crossbow is not the best choice compared to the I forget the other one, but the other one that does like extra 10% damage. I don't care about the extra 10% damage typically in a match where you're fighting many different enemies. I care about the 10% or 8% P attack it gives. Now, if you're attacking bosses or large single life enemies, yeah, an extra debuff on them is great and all that. But Homa has a debuff capability with her burial attack, where she gets rid of their physical defense. Hovering support buffs up the physical attack. And if you're also fighting like a boss or some other one like that, you use the tactic, I forget the name, to increase damage taken by 80%, I think, something like that. So I'm not sure if the bow really, jumps on top of that. If it does, that's great. But that's how you get that super big numbers. But if you're trying to do like, a bunch of attacks all over the place, some AoEs and all that, and try to clear a bunch of enemies, I recommend increasing attack as much as possible. Still, I recommend the same bow that does the damage thing right there, but I just don't care about the debuff as much. Now, if you want her to be doing her bird attack twice per her turn, then you want to use the Flying Blade Arm Guard. If you just want to increase her attack quite a bit, you can use the Hourglass. And the Hourglass actually might be good for her because mobility is really important for her. I didn't really go over her basic attack too much, but her basic attack allows her to move again after attacking and use the remaining of her move. So if you keep her movement up, she could also buff allies, and field our skills. So I'd say Hourglass is consideration. I put the crit tarot on her because it increases her crit percentage and also increases her crit damage. So I think that actually worked really well if you plan on doing a lot of bird attacks, because then you can make sure you get all the crits on them as well too, and get a lot of damage. So she has a lot of ways to play around. I want to explore the birds on this one, but also look at the other guides on how you could like buff up August super big. It's pretty cool to watch on those boss battles. But you don't fight bosses too much, so I was trying to look more of a practical how do I get as much damage around the place as possible. Well, that's it for this introduction right here. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and I'm going to show all the examples of what you can do with her, what I just explained right now. I'm going to show the actions right now after this. Hey, this is Salty Will, and today we're looking at Homa. So one really important thing to look at is her attack. Everything she has scales off attack. I don't have optimal gear right here, but I have the extra attack right here. That's what we're looking at. And I also have extra crits and crit damage from this right here. So trying to see how that gets impact. I'm not going to do a direct comparison to see how the crit scales and all that. That's impossible to really check. But I'm trying to get her attack pumped up as much as possible. And I'm going to be using her the skill right here to show you how the birds get more damage based off this, right? So she's got sword and wand. I'll be moving her up close to battle. So enough explaining, let me show you. Alright, I'm going to do two different attacks right here. I'm going to do one where I'm next to an enemy when I'm not. So I'm using my instant right here to demonstrate her current attack power. She's currently at 5347. And then I'm just going to go ahead and attack this dude right here. He's going to get by attack, the follow-up attack of the bird, which comes with the regular attack. And this dude's going to get hit by the AoE. We're going to pump her up. 5827. Because I'm next to a guy, and I did the movement necessary to get the extra damage right there. So you get the extra damage coming from the passive right here. So Rampage Archer. So her skill damage should also go up with using the bird. So I'm going to do this right now with her, then I'm going to try it with some other character next. So let's go ahead and attack this dude right here again.
Ike!
So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to pump up Nona Will when I'm next to the enemy and when I'm not next to the enemy. Let's see the damage difference.
そこだ!
Now I'm going to go ahead and give Nona Will the bird again.
ビスケット分けてやるよ! ありがとう.
I'm going to teleport Nona Will up to here. And I want to compare damages afterwards because I can't memorize this. But this one's already much higher damage to this dude. But we gotta see how much damage happens with Nona Will afterwards.
そこだ! 下!
Alright, so Homa started off same spot as beforehand. Easy, exact same damage. And then this one's based on where the bird's at too. So you gotta have this skill to transfer the bird over. But let's go ahead and just do it right here. So there's a few different ways to do it. So it's on her by default. So I'm gonna put the bird on her. I'm gonna pump her up.
ビス
This
ケット
also
分
allows
け
me
てやるよ!
to do the instant so I can teleport from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just teleport. She's gonna be next to a group of enemies.
おお!
So she's at 5827. And might as well cast it on her right now.
そこだ!
Okay, cool. So she has to be exactly next to the person. So that's not there right now. So now it's not perfect, but at least attack this guy again. And these guys for comparison. Let's do it on her.
そこだ!
Looks pretty. Ah, so here's what I can do right now. So Biscuit's on her. And then I'm going to do a move right here, which will transfer Biscuit to there.
そこだ! 神のご加護、あなたに.
So now she has Biscuit, got removed from her. The damage here and here. That's pretty cool.
ビスケット分けてやるよ! ありがとう.
Then I'm going to teleport her right here. And can't put the bird on her, but I'll do it right here.